Well, I think that we're on. It looks like I'm on. Looks like I'm recording. How's everybody doing? So this is kind of a mid-week. It's actually Thursday, so it's kind of a late week, but it's a midweek. It's not a weekend thing. Usually I do these on a weekend, but it's a midweek thing because last night I could not sleep. I don't know if you can see the bags under my eyes. I could not sleep at all. I'm going to take these things off. I absolutely could not sleep at all last night. I was up. I wasn't really up moving around. I didn't really have any problems with, I had problems with noises last night. There was a lot of noises last night. But I didn't really have any problems thinking about things. I just was up. First time in a while where I was just up and I couldn't get to sleep. I wasn't really thinking. I just, just lying there. And suddenly I was compelled to think about giants. I was compelled to think about all this stuff that we've been talking about for a while. And I was told to put it into a form that I can now understand. That I can somehow tell it to other people so that they can understand it. No, I've been trying to do that for the past, I don't know, couple months now. We've been trying to put it all together, trying to figure it all out. But now I've kind of come to an understanding of it, a way of saying it that makes sense to me, and hopefully it'll make sense to you. Now, of course, before we go anywhere, before we do anything, I want to preface this whole thing by saying that these are my beliefs. As always, you don't have to believe what I believe. You don't have to take anything that I take, or anything that I say to heart. I am going to try my best not to say anything wrong. I probably will. I'm fallible. I'm human. It is what it is. Okay. Expecting a phone call. It's bad. So I may wind up having to take a phone call. I don't know. But I just want to put that out there that you don't have to believe a single word I say. If you think you can prove anything that I say wrong, please, by all means, go out and look it up for yourself. And then just say, well, he's just a wacko. Because honestly, it's just my beliefs. And I'm just trying to get those beliefs out there. I'm not saying that what I'm saying is true. What I'm saying more than anything else is I just need to get this stuff out of my head because it's in my head, and apparently it's keeping me up at night. So with that being said, that's my little disclaimer that I have to put out there. With that being said, the only way I can really put this in any kind of context is just straight out say that giants and the thought of giants and the belief in giants can be a level 1 conspiracy theory. And what I mean by that is, well, I saw a meme. I saw a meme a while ago. This was a couple weeks ago, and it really put it into context. The journey that you take as you start opening your eyes and start understanding the way of the world. And it put it into context of, well, that's how it works. That's it right there. So it was an iceberg, and you guys may have seen this if you're in the community, if you are awake, as they like to say. But it was an iceberg, and the very tip of the iceberg was just level 1 stuff. It's like JFK, aliens, 9/11. All the stuff that the mainstream loves to put out there in front of you. And so the easy stuff. That's level 1. That's what that would be considered. And then level 2, you go down, and you're getting into more heavy rabbit holes. You've got fake economies and fake wars and stuff like that. And then there's a third one underneath that where you have like Rothschilds and, a little bit heavier conspiracy stuff that you really have to kind of, get there. And level 4 gets a little bit deeper. And at the very bottom, level 5, you're talking about like the satanic elite. You're talking about demons and devils and all this other kind of stuff. And um, I know when I first started doing this, it's like the second or third video, I said, I put it in a timeline, and I used a drumstick, if I remember right. I put it in a timeline, and I said, like here would be like where JFK would be, and then you get like 9/11, you get all this other stuff, eventually. And I said, man, I'm way out here with giants and shit. And I got to think about that, and it's like, no, it's not. It's easier than that. You can pull that up to the front because the thing the thing I was thinking about more than anything else is you talk about stuff like 9/11 and JFK and all these other kind of things, moon landings and all this. You're getting into like the humble pie stuff of America. You're getting into like the backbone of American stuff. Nobody wants to hear about 9/11 because a lot of people died. And nobody wants to believe that it wasn't anything more than that because that's what they hold on to. That's what they have. The same goes with the moon. There was a lot of people that watched a moon landing. So there's a lot of people that are holding on to that. So it would be really hard to convince someone that that was a thing. Turn my light back on. Sorry. Um, so those are level 1 things that just don't work. You can't talk to people about those things because most people don't want to hear it. They really don't want to. They don't want to get into it. They hear the stuff like that and they're just like, oh, you're just a stupid conspiracy theorist. But when it comes to giants, there's something there. There's a little bit. There's proof there. I mean, you can't actually 100% prove it, but there's something there that you can point to and say, well, you have years upon years upon years of newspaper articles from the 1800s up until the 1900s talking about these skeletons of giants that they found, even though every single one of them was claimed either fake or fraud or something by the Smithsonian, and then immediately the thing disappeared. But you have that you can point to. You can say, "Here's this. Why don't you check this out? See what this is." Not only that, you have all these stories and myths and legends that are not biblical. Because it seems like as soon as you mention the Bible for anything, people want to turn their heads. They just want to turn off and just walk away. So you don't even have to bring up the Bible. You can very subtly bring it in with other cultures, because that's the other thing I've been looking at as well as other cultures. We've been looking at Greek stuff. We've been looking at the Sumerian stuff. We've been looking at the Babylonian stuff. We've been looking at Native American cultures. I think there might even be like some Aboriginal stuff in there too, and I know the Indians had some in it. And you've got all the cultures in South America that talk about giants, so you can slowly bring that in and tell somebody, hey, this is kind of an interesting thing that all these people were talking about this, and they just happen to find all these remains out in the deserts and all this stuff, and the American Indians talk about this, and there's still people that talk about stuff like this. There's these pictures. We don't know if they're true or not, but there's pictures that we found from the early 1900s of these guys going to different places, and they're taking pictures. These guys that are like, they're 8-9 feet tall, even though the tallest guy that we have on record is 9 feet tall. Some of these pictures, these guys are like 13 feet tall. They're huge. They're twice the size of a man. No, I'm sorry. I don't care how short you are. If you're twice the size of a man, you're still at the minimum 11 feet tall. So it's just it It's there. It's a level 1 conspiracy. It's something that you can point to somebody and say, "Here, check this out." And the biggest benefit to it, at least in my eyes, at least in my mind, last night as I was thinking about it, is that it reawakens that supernatural nature in your brain. One thing that I've said many times that we have lost over the years that they've done their best to try to kill in all of us is that supernatural being that we have, that spiritual nature that we have with this realm. That it's not just this. It's not just this physical nonsense. It's not this plastic and phone. It's just not this nonsense. There's something more to it. And for the longest time, I personally felt there is something more to it. I can feel it. For me personally, I can feel that there's something more to it. I've said many, many times that I don't feel like I belong of this world. There's something higher than this, and I feel that. But I've always had everybody try to take that down. That you're nothing. That you won the magic cosmic lottery and you managed to hit every single perfect succession of chances to be able to get to this point, and you're just a hairless monkey. That's all you are. And there's nothing else after this. It's just that you're meant to live on this ball floating out in the middle of space, and you're supposed to go to school, have them tell you exactly what you need to do so that you can go to another school and get into debt so that you can get a good job and work so that you can have this. This is just paper. It's really just paper. It's nothing. Was this like 19? It's $19. This is about all the money I have to my name right now. It's like $19. Seriously. But that's it seems over dramatic whenever I pull the money out to get a point across, right? But seriously, it that's what you're told. That's what you're constantly told, is that that's all you're worth. You're worth what's in your wallet. That's it. You know? And it's just fleeting. You go through the whole thing, you live, you die, and when you die, that's it. More than likely you get reincarnated, you get to come back for a second trip. That seems like the base that I've heard more than anything else, is that, oh, you'll just come back, you'll get another turn. You won't remember anything from the last one, so you'll never know that this might be your 5,000th turn, but you'll just come back. It's all right. But I don't think that's right. And there's this supernatural, very spiritual essence of this life, of this existence that we miss out on, and it's there. I mean, whether you feel it or not, there's something there, because there's something that it's not only I can feel, but other people can feel as well. There's you can only hear so many people talk about stories of demons and angels before you got to stop and think, well, wait a minute. Not that it has to be true. I'm just saying that, you got to stop and say, wait a minute. Because again, I don't want to tell anybody how to run their life. You're either going to get it or you're not going to get it. I've said that many times over. I'm not going to condemn you if you can't get it, if you can't understand that it's there, it's a thing. So, talking about giants in any form, way, or being especially whenever you're trying to tell somebody else about it. Just say, hey, this is a really interesting thing that's happened here. That all these people have talked about it, and then sure enough, they're finding bones of skeletons of guys that are 10 feet tall. Some of them in our own backyard. There's Indian burial grounds everywhere, and they're finding bones in these places, and all these cultures all over the world. It's not like these stories just followed everybody around. These people are talking about stuff that's happened recently. Whether you want to believe it or not, it's just there. You can approach somebody like that. You can just kind of say, hey, I was listening to this, I was listening to that, and it's not a tragedy. It's not a tragedy that you can like put in somebody's face and be like, oh hey, by the way, this might have been fake. That's the hardest way to bring anybody into anything. When you talk about giants, everybody's heard giants. Everybody's heard giant stories. Everybody's heard Jack and the Beanstalk, and that's a way to open their eyes. And I think once you get that subconscious, supernatural, that's what I'm looking for. Once you get those thoughts, those subconscious, supernatural thoughts down in their head to where it could even remotely be a possibility for them, and that they go and look it up for themselves. Because I said there's power in going out and looking at something for yourself. I just had a perfect example today where I read something on the internet. Somebody was talking about how they thought that the Bible was, and I had to go look it up, and they were wrong. That's all I could say. That's all. This is the only way I can really say it is they were wrong. I don't want to go into too many details about it, but they were they were talking about a certain passage in the book, and I said, okay, God, you need to show me the right way. You need to show me what's going on with this, because this could change a lot of my mentality on what's going on here. And so I went to at least five different sources, and five different sources didn't say anything that had to do with what they were talking about. And there you go. You have to prove it for yourself. Once you prove it for yourself, there's a power to that, and you feel that power because you take possession. You take you take that power back for you. And that's the biggest part about this whole thing as well, is you take the power of your life back, something that we've been missing for a long time. So, I think it's I think it's a good starting point. I really do. I don't. Will it change people? Will it turn people? I don't know. I've always said if the Lord is ready to convict somebody into coming over to His side, and that He is ready to accept them, then He will do it on His own. They just need to get that Kickstarter into it, and I think that's a good way. I think it's a good way. I think giants can be a level one conspiracy theory. It's a way in. Call it whatever you want. But that was what I was. That's basically been my entire night last night, was laying there in bed and just having this whole speech go through my head. I've been trying all day to remember it, and I've had so much stuff to do. And about, I want to say about 2.5 hours ago, I I was basically pushed. I said, "You need to go do this," or it said, "You need to go make this now. You cannot save this until Saturday. You have to do this now." And I got sidetracked on a thing. Took me 2 hours to do it, but I got it done. And then I said, "Okay, I got to drop everything, and I got to make this video." And this is, there you go. I don't think it's that hard of a thing to do. If you even remotely believe in the possibility that giants and the film and the whole thing, if you believe in the Bible, you know that it's there, that there is the line. There were giants in those days and after. You know it's there. Goliath was a giant. He was of the giants. Not only was he of the giants, he had six fingers and six toes. I have five. Just so everybody's know. How? Um, but it's there. It's there. And I think all roads, especially from a giant's perspective, all roads lead back to the Bible. They have to. So I think it's a way. I think it's a way to open people's eyes. I think it's a way to not shove tragedy in their face. I think it's a way to not shove Illuminati nonsense in their face. I I think it's a way to get people to start opening their eyes and opening their spiritual mind and let there be an understanding. So that's it. That's all I got. I don't have anything else. I really don't. That was all I had. Does it make sense? Does it? I mean, doesn't that make sense? You know, this is something I can go talk to my family about. You know, be like, hey, there's this and there's this and there's that, and we're talking about big dudes here. We're not talking about this. We're talking about this. I just find it fascinating. And I just think if you can get it into their subconscious. I mean, so there was a little bit of deviousness that came into my mind about the whole thing is that the evils of this world have used subliminal messaging and the subconscious thoughts of all of us and all this other stuff. They've used this against us so much that we don't know it's real anymore. And I was like, well, we might as well take some of that power back by putting this into people's subconscious to be able to counteract that. And I don't want to be devious about it. I don't want to be devious, but I think that's part of the process. Is once it gets, there was a line in the Bible I remember about planting the seeds of God and they will sprout. One of the things I remember hearing just the other day, they were talking about seeds being planted either on rock or in good soil. If it's planted on a rock, evil can come along and just tear it up whenever it wants. But if it's planted in good soil and deep rooted, then it cannot be moved. Something like that. I think it's what it was. I could be wrong. But I hope I'm not wrong. I prayed before this that I would say the right thing. So hopefully that's what it is. But that's got to be it. If you can just plant that seed, just that tiny little bit, get them to thinking. And the best part about it is too is not only not only is it something for adults to hear, something that you can just talk to your family about, just be like, hey, here's this, here's that. They're not going to call you crazy or nut job if you kind of show them the proof that, hey, there's these bones that people have been talking about, and there's this, there's that. You don't have to say, oh, it's a big, huge cover up, because we don't know if it's a cover up. We know that they're covering stuff up. But if you can say that, Native Americans have been talking about this forever, and if people have been talking about this, then it's like, they're it's something more than, oh, there's no way that jet fuel can bring down to, and the other thing about that too was that with giants, you can bring somebody to the Bible. You don't need to tell them about 9/11 to bring them to the Bible. you don't have to do that. So it works. There's so many ways this works. But not only is it for adults, not only is it something that you can bring up in a family meeting, not only will you're not going to be called like the ultimate black sheep if you pull this up at a at one of your pagan holiday festivals, but it works on children. And I have already told I have already told Angie B that when when our granddaughter gets to that age, I'm gonna tell her about giants. I'm gonna tell her all the stories. And when she gets old enough to know whether it's real or not, I'm gonna tell her that this is what I believe and that this is where it comes from. And I'm gonna let her make that choice. So it's as simple as that. You can tell kids about this. Kids love stories about giants. It's just it's there, and you can say giants could be a real thing. There could be. Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Can you see a little kid's eyes lighten up whenever you tell them? Well, there's a story about these giants that they were as tall as cedar trees. You know how big a cedar tree is? A cedar tree is 120 feet tall. Can you imagine how big their eyes are going to be? And they don't have to. They don't have to just straight away believe it. Straight away, marriage is a sacred. No, they don't have to straight away believe it. They just need the seed planted. It's like I said, you just need to plant the seed. And then if they ask you for more, give them a little bit more. Don't drown them with it. You can't give meat to a baby. You gotta give them just a little bit of milk, let them go, and then when they're ready to chew, you give them what they need. So that's about the best I got. I'm surprised I remembered that meat and milk thing. I'm surprised I remembered that. Well, I'm surprised I used it. I guess that's the other thing. So seriously though, I think that if you are awake and if you understand it and if you even remotely believe it and if you're having a problem trying to get anyone to understand any part of your life whatsoever, even if you just want to help somebody see the way, that's the way. Slow down. Don't hammer them with the truth. Just give them something. Give them something. Plant the seed. Because if I am right and I may not be right, this may just all be in my head and I just may be. It may be absolutely nothing at all to worry about, but I'll tell you what, if I'm right, if other people are right, because man, there's more than just me that's thinking about this too. Just saw videos today that they were talking about. They've got pictures of these big 7-8 foot guys that are inside of police uniforms roaming around crime scenes. I never heard of this. This is a thing now? What? I have to go look into it because, again, I have to test it for myself. I just saw that today and I was like, what? That's a thing now? Really? How far behind the times am I? Really? But if we're all right, then you have to know that these things are coming. I've said this before, as in the days of Noah, so shall be the coming of the Son of Man. We've already talked about it. We're talking about like mile-high giants. I mean, in order to have a 3 mile long arm span, how tall do you have to be? Right? Makes you think. It really, really makes you think. And I think that's what we need. I think it'll help. It'll help. It'll get people thinking. It'll get people moving. So there you go. That's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say. Yeah, so I should go ahead and get off. Thank you guys very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, or don't. And I was doing another one of these on Saturday. I haven't been reading. I haven't been reading. I haven't been doing anything. I've been looking for a job playing video games. It's just sad. So it is what it is. So you guys take it easy. I wish you all well in all your future endeavors, and I hope that the world lasts for you. God bless you guys. Take care, and like I said, don't be afraid to pick. Don't be afraid of it. Just like it. Start it out slow. Just be like, hey man, I heard this crazy thing, and I kind of looked up a couple things, and it's just a perfect example. And I know I'm trying. I should have started with this really, but perfect example was the place I was working at. One of the guys that came by, he had known that I had been reading the Book of Enoch, and he had known I had been reading the Book of Giants. Because I left them out on the table. I Sometimes I did it intentionally, sometimes I didn't because it lets me get it out. It's basically about the time I started these videos. So I had the Book of Jasher out there, and he came by and asked about the Book of Jasher. And I told him, and I started talking about that, and I started talking about Gilgamesh, and started talking about all these other cultures that did it, and started putting little pieces in here, little pieces in there, and he and I started talking about that supernatural aspect of the world that we are missing. And he said after that he was going to go look at it. Now, I don't know if he did or not because that was my last day there. So I don't know. I don't know if he did or not. But it was there. And I know he was the kind of guy that he would go look at it just to see what it was. Now, whether he found anything or not, that's on him, Again, I say if God is ready to bring you in, he'll bring you in. So I don't know. But there you go. That's just the way, And you don't have to hit people over the head with it. I'm so tired of conspiracy guys hitting people over the head with everything. It was like, oh, this is this and that's that. You've got to go do this and that. And it's like, ain't nobody gonna believe you if you come at them like that. That's just not the way you come at them. You have to first get them with something they understand, and then you can start. You can't just hit them in the head with it. That's not never going to work. Oh, maybe that's my calling in life is that I know a way to be able to say it. I just need people to hear it. Maybe I don't know. So, anyways, I'm gonna get off. You guys take it easy, and I shall see you whenever.